It's your boy, G-Man, Plus Vibes, Wednesday, the 7th, 6th. I'm going to go with 6th. I think it's the 6th. 2021, January. Feeling it. The new year is upon us, and I hope everybody is about to tackle this heavily and make the most out of it, because obviously last year we got stuffed, didn't get to do probably a lot of what everybody wanted to do, and hopefully this vaccination, hopefully people getting vaccinated will kind of make it so restrictions can be lifted, people can kind of start going back to hopefully doing more. I mean, I remove myself heavily from the news and politics and stuff like that. However, I am going to touch on something today because it has something to do with what I wanted to talk about today. It just kind of fits. It's a little weird that it would happen like this today. And what I'm referring to is, if you haven't seen the news, go check the news for January the 6th. If you're seeing this tomorrow, whatever day you end up seeing it. But I usually keep myself removed, so I don't know exactly what they're going to be doing with the virus. I'm just saying, I hope that this year we can start making good moves. I want to start making my good moves, and there's no excuse. And the same goes for anybody watching this. If you've got stuff that you really want to start tackling and making happen, there's alternatives, there's ways around, there's workarounds, there's ways over your hurdle. You got to look at all your options, and you have to be able to compartmentalize. And that's what I actually want to talk about today, the ability to compartmentalize. And so many people think that it's not only don't do it, but think that it's almost like a sin to do it. I'm going to give you a way that people end up thinking this way. It has to do with politics. You're either red or you're blue in a lot of people's heads. I know this doesn't apply to everybody. If this doesn't apply to you, obviously it doesn't apply to you. I don't give a crap. So what I am referring to are the people who are just all the way over here, all the way over there. I'm agreeing with that. I'm agreeing with what they said because that's my side. I'm agreeing with what they said because that's my side. When people think that way, they just completely ignore the ability to compartmentalize and look at each situation as a different thing, or each. And then here's specifically where that comes into play. When one thing happens, looking at each fragment of that thing, each thing that makes up the moment, man, I wish somebody could tell me what the word is right now. Nobody, you guys can't tell me nothing. Man, what is the event? Why couldn't I think of that? Anyway, the moments, the items, the little things that make up the one event. So, for instance, today, there was a Trump rally, and I'm not a fan of his. If you're a fan of his, I don't care. I'm not a fan of his. But this is where my ability to compartmentalize comes into play. I don't like him, right? I don't want to see him be in office. I'm glad he didn't get picked. At the same time, I'm not a fan of Biden's, right? Here's where I start to separate everything. I don't have to be a fan of his and be a fan of, and then I have to be a fan of the other guys. It's not the case. We're out to pick one or the other. No, you don't. Everybody could have voted for third party. Everybody could have, if we treated all candidates as equal players in this country, it would happen that way. It would unfold that way. But we don't. I digress. So there's a rally happening, a riot happening. They have breached, again, I remove myself, I don't know all the details, but they've breached walls outside of the Capitol building, and then they've made their way inside the Capitol, and things have gotten violent, right? Now, there's the Trump supporters who are getting angry at the people who are angry at these people who are getting crazy on the Capitol grounds, right? And their argument is, oh, well, you guys are all okay for Black Lives Matter movements and riots and rallies and whatever protests, but as soon as we decide we're going to protest, oh, it's terrible. It's all hell is broken loose, and this is just the most awful things that could happen for America. Okay, that's your argument, right? And then you got the people on the other side, who are very on the other side, who are just saying, so you got those people who are approving these riots, right? And you got the other people who are just like, this is absolutely awful. How, you know what I mean? It's disgusting. This is the likeness. This is the epitome, the embodiment of a Trump supporter. This is disgusting. This is why he shouldn't be in, and screw you guys if you support him, right? Far left, far right. Why can't we look at each iota of the circumstance? So for me, this is how I would break it down. And this is what I use for any kind of problem that I face in life, or any kind of situation that requires more than just a straight, you know, instant reaction. And this is how I feel, which honestly, most things you need more than just the instantaneous reaction, or else you get that too close to an elephant syndrome, where all you can see is his wrinkly, disgusting skin, and you don't know that it's an elephant. If you're too close, all you can see is this much of him. If somebody closed your eyes, put you in front of this thing, and then whoop, surprise, what's in front of you? Oh, you're just looking at wrinkly grayness. You have no idea what you're looking at. Too close to the elephant. Move back, take a minute, observe. Right. So what I would do is I would say, to get extremely violent in any protest, Black Lives Matter, or these Trump rallies, unnecessary, completely unnecessary. I support everybody's right to protest, because that's a right that we have, right? So just as Black Lives Matter protested, which I was in full support of, so my opinion kind of leaks out. I was in full support of it. The evidence is overwhelming, and it was ridiculous, and it should have been addressed. On the flip side, Trump supporter, right? I don't support their cause, right? But I support their right to do so. I support their right to get out and protest peacefully. Peacefully. It's not being peaceful right now. And that part is ridiculous, right? On the flip side, I don't agree with the same, you know, on the same facet. I didn't agree with any kind of violence in the Black Lives Matter protests as well. Violence begets violence, blood begets blood. It's that whole entire circle, and it's unnecessary. And you can't beat hate with hate. You can only beat hate with love. Hippy dippy, I know, but it's what I believe. And on another note, we as a country, we as a populace, have had a terrible problem with the government for a long time, right? The wealth has been disproportionately placed, and we all know it. And seeing what can be done, the fear that can be stricken, correct me if that's not a word, the fear that can be brought about into the government, right? How afraid they are of these protesters that are coming through and doing nonsense right now. I don't believe in that for a peaceful protest. If all you're trying to do is protest and get your voice heard, don't believe in all that. If you're starting a revolution, though, sometimes it's necessary. There can be no peaceful revolution. There's a difference between a protest and a revolution. You can get your point across and your word out, and you can get heard with protests. And I think that's always the first way to go. I am a make love not war kind of person, very John Lennon-y. But this is kind of an example of what can be done in even smallish numbers, right? So imagine if the entire population banded together, what we could accomplish in that. See how I took it and broke it apart? I'm not fully in hate of the people who are protesting, although I don't agree with the violence, and the people who actually pushed through and did the violent acts. Obviously, I feel like they should be handled. It's ridiculous. You went way far past what you should have did. And that being said, it's bringing it back to compartmentalization, because that's what I really want to focus on. You can take a situation and you can break it down into bits, and you can have an opinion on each bit, and you can have a thought and a way you're going to handle and a way you will move forward on each bit of a situation, instead of thinking you have to look at one thing as a whole, instead of breaking it down into its parts. And I think it's a useful scenario. I think it's a useful tool to use when you're approaching any kind of situation. If a friend is being rude to you, let's say, right, and you're just taking it at face value and they're just rude and screw this douche, right? If you're not looking at the whole, if you're not trying to step back and break it down and look at every possible part, then you're going to miss everything. This person might have had a terrible day and they might have just taken it out on you. No, that's not right, but it's something to consider. And then if you're a good friend to this person, it's something to actually approach them about and say, hey, what's going on? You know what I mean? Are you okay? Are things going? You're not usually rude to me. But other people would just take that rudeness at face value and not try and break it down into pieces, right? So that's what I'm talking about. And it can work for you in vast different ways. If you watch this whole entire video, and I hope you do, tell me in the comments how you think compartmentalization can be used in your everyday to-day life and how you could use it for buffering emotional reactions, you know, anything that's like a snap split decision kind of reaction. Instead of doing that, how you could buffer it and then maybe handle the situation better. Maybe you're somebody who's quick to anger. Maybe this could be something that could help you step back and really try and consider all options the way you might be in this particular situation. Put yourself in their shoes, you know what I mean? That kind of deal. I love y'all. This video ran real long. I don't usually do over 7-minute videos, and we're almost at 12 minutes. So I'm gonna deuce out, and I'm gonna talk to y'all Friday. I love you. Happy hump day.